Hello and welcome to another review. I'm so excited for today's book. Home Before Dark is my second Riley Sager read and he absolutely surprised the hell out of me. And mind you, the book is really difficult to review because I have some positives to say that will be in the spoilery zone. So I'll just try to tiptoe my way around it. I went in sort of blind without reading any reviews, as I do with books of this genre, horror, mystery, thrillers, because I don't like to know a lot about them before I start reading, because I'm only human. The more I read about them, the more my opinion will be colored before I even start reading. So I knew this book because I saw this cover everywhere on Bookstagram and BookTube. If I close my eyes, I can see the cover. That's how many times I've seen this book. And I'd read Final Girl, so I wanted to read another by him. And so I landed here. The story is about Maggie Holt. She's a woman in her early 30s, but she's most famous for her childhood years. Her family lived in a haunted house when she was around 5-year-old for 20 days, and on the 21st night, they fled in the middle of the night without any explanation. After abandoning the supposedly haunted house, her father wrote a book called The House of Horrors, which was a very, very detailed and intimate account of their paranormal experiences in this House of Horrors. And that book is the only clue Maggie has about that night. She has no memories, she has no recollections, she has some nightmares, but she doesn't know if she can trust them. So yeah, the book is the whole and soul of her knowledge about their time spent in that house, and especially that particular night. But the story in the book doesn't feel real to her, she cannot relate with that character, that she is her. She's sure that she cannot be the frightened, timid, friendless, and frankly weird girl as seen through her father's perspective, because the book is in his first person perspective. And subsequently, she's lived her entire life in the shadow of that book. She was mocked in school. Everywhere she goes, people know who she is because of that book. So they keep asking her questions about that night, or how it was to live in a haunted house. And she's frankly done with all of these questions because she doesn't really believe in the book, because she's sure that she cannot be that person. She also knows that her father must have embellished other facts, so the book feels like a big pile of crap to her. And her father really didn't help satiate her confusion, because his dying words to her are, "I'm sorry." Now, what could that mean? And once he's dead, she discovers that they still own Bainbury Hall, which is the haunted house they had lived in for a brief period in her childhood, which her father had swore that they would abandon forever and never step foot in again. So why does he still own it? And now she owns it because inheritance. So she's determined to find the truth about Bainbury Hall and the book House of Horrors and her father and mother's secret that they've kept for these 20 odd years, because she's sure there is a secret. She goes to Bainbury Hall on the pretext of fixing up the house and then reselling it. She's a contractor by profession, but her real motive is to actually prove that her father wrote a fake book full of bullshit. Things happen. That's all I can say without spoiling it. For a few pages in, I was very convinced that this is another rehash of A Haunting on Hill House, which frankly there's enough already. We don't need any more remakes of Haunting on the Hill House. It's a classic story, it's a well done story, but it's also beaten to death by now. But I'll say that I was wrong. I was just very, very wrong about it being another Haunting on the Hill House story. The book has about 100 what the fuck just happened moments, and they're all really well deserved. Okay, let's do a simple pros and cons list, just put things in perspective. Okay, pro number 1. It doesn't have most of the stereotypical sexist damsel in distress situations I generally associate with these novels. Okay, this is a spoiler, but I'll give it anyway. There wasn't a man who had to rescue Maggie from the haunted house, because every single haunted house book that I've read in the recent years had a man rescuing a woman by holding her waist or throwing her on his strong, muscular shoulders and then rescuing her. Okay, it did not have that. And for that, I'm glad. Okay, it had a little bit of that when her father picked her up in the middle of the night and fled. But that's forgivable. There's no graphic sexuality or sexual violence, which is again so ubiquitously omnipresent in these books, which was such a refreshing change. But then this becomes a con very soon, because in an attempt to do away with the stereotypical sexist writing, he just goes one step over. The female character is so unrelatable. She accuses a person of mansplaining her every chance she gets, even when the person is literally just talking. I mean, if someone is just talking to me, I cannot say that he's mansplaining simply because he might have a penis. Okay, I can't do that. Assuming that another person is sexist is equally sexist, you know. And the female character has a lot of cringe moments because there's so much emphasis put on her non-girliness. Like, she's not like other girls, you know. She is, first of all, a contractor, which is, oh my god, how can a girl be a contractor? And oh my god, this girl doesn't like pink. She goes to a childhood home and sees that, oh, there are pink dresses. And she's like, this could not have been me. This book is a lie. I could never wear pink. I'm not a pinkish girl. And, you know, she is so unique because she hates pink. Wow, I guess. And to top it all, she can name different kinds of screwdriver and hammers, which is a part of her profession, by the way. But it is so unique that a girl can, you know, name all of these things. I don't even know what a screwdriver is. I'm so girly. I don't know why most male and some female authors struggle so much to write interesting and relatable female characters. They're either interesting, but they're not realistic. Or if they're realistic, they're extremely boring. Like, there are pages about them brushing their teeth. Why can't you have a normal human being? You have male characters who are normal yet interesting, you know. They don't have to be Adonises and Hercules to be interesting. They're just interesting because they're given a very interesting backstory or an interesting POV. So Maggie's father's POV is far more interesting than Maggie's because it's a male POV, I think. That's why. And the author is comfortable writing a male POV. But honestly, it's not as bad as in other books. It is his attempt to make the girl non-girly to avoid the usual stereotypes associated with these books. It's not intentionally misogynistic. I mean, that's at least what I gather. It's not intentionally misogynistic thing like Kill Creek. Kill Creek is the absolute worst misogynistic piece of horror literature I've ever read. Of course, there might be more like worse than it, but that's the worst that I've read. Now, another pro is the writing style. There are two distinct POVs, Maggie's present day POV and then the past, which is told in her father's POV through the excerpts of the book House of Horrors. And it blends so perfectly. You don't feel any jump. You don't feel any disconnect from the story when the story flashes back. Because in a lot of stories, when there's a flashback, you just feel a disconnect, you know, like there's a sheet between you and the story. But here, it just flows so smoothly. The flashback episode and the present day episode are almost running in a straight line, you know. Here's the flashback, here's the present. Instead of, you know, there's the flashback, there's the present, and there's this, like, they're running in parallel lines and they can never meet. But here they are just one straight line with present and past stops. So it's really well executed that way. Another big pro is the writing. It was so vivid, I could see it play like a movie in my head. This book really made me love Riley Sager even more than Final Girls did, but then I read another one of his books that I kind of disliked. So I'm again confused about him. If you like horror, thriller, mystery, suspense, domestic drama, domestic thriller, psychological drama, psychological thriller, any of these or all of these, then you should definitely check out Home Before Dark. I would definitely give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I think I did so on my Goodreads. That's it for today. Do follow me on Goodreads or Instagram for more bookish content. If you want some political rants, you can follow me on Twitter. And as always, don't forget to like, share or subscribe, or dislike it if you hated it. If you agreed with my review, do let me know in the comments. And I also want to know which is your favorite Riley Sager book down below. See you next time.